What wearies you? Who or what feels stuck, unchanging, or unresolved? A relationship caught in bad patterns, a workplace that drains your spirit, the violence, injustice, and inequity that fill the news each day, or all of the above. When we are weary, hope feels risky. Trust feels expensive. And yet, Advent asks us precisely this question: how do we ready our hearts for the birth of Christ when we are tired of waiting for things to change? And so we come to this last Sunday of Advent, when the church's calendar fittingly aligns with the winter solstice, the moment when the retreating sunlight changes direction. Nothing is instantly fixed. The night is still long, but the arc has shifted. When we are weary, we live in survival mode. And in survival mode, trust is hard. Trust doesn't happen overnight. It comes from relationship, developed over time through acts of love, consistency, honesty, open communication, and responsibility. To trust God in the big moments, we must orient our lives towards God in the small ones, like a tree that orients itself towards the sun. After the longest night, the sun rises again. And after a long, difficult year, Christ is born again for us and with us. Isaiah's prophecy echoes through history. A young woman, in some translations, virgin, will conceive and bear a child called Emmanuel. Debates about translation or biology miss Isaiah's deeper claim. The point is not the miracle of virgin birth so much as the miracle that life goes on and that life begins again and again and again. Children grow, become adults, and make choices, and their lives unfold in historical time. That unfolding is the hope, especially for the weary. Today's readings invite us to meet four people, four spiritual archetypes, each facing a moral dilemma. Each choice they make reveals something about God's faithful love. Young and open-hearted Mary risks her life and reputation, saying yes to God. This pregnant teenager lived under threat, under Roman occupation and martial law. And she radically trusts that God will send a Messiah who will redeem and restore and bring peace. Naming her son is an act of resistance. Jesus, the Lord saves. Mary trusted that empire would not have the final say. However, Ahaz, the 8th century king of Judah, is a different archetype. He faces a frightening reality. Two military powers have aligned and attacked his borders, and God sends Isaiah to offer this counsel. Trust me. Ahaz must choose. Trust God to abate the threat or to secure his reign through an alliance with Assyria, the biggest and most feared empire of the day. And Ahaz opts to join the team with the winning record, Empire. Isaiah remarks that his choice wearies God. We humans make choices like these every day. Anxiety about security, control, affection can easily get the best of us. There's cognitive dissonance in the life of faith. We cordon off our spiritual lives from our daily decisions, behaving as if there are different rules in the marketplace, in politics, and in the practical demands of life. Making decisions based on money, security, and control is easier. It takes real spiritual maturity to bet on God. In this instance, anxiety gets the best of Ahaz. Judah became enmeshed with Assyria through treaty and tribute and religious imitation. And yet God is not finished. Isaiah proclaims a great hope. A child will be born. Sacred history continues. Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, chooses differently, trusting God when faced with similar threats to his father, and he restores the kingdom of Judah to right relationship with God. God does not abandon people or nations because of choices made in fear. God is faithful and patient, allowing the arc of history to bend slowly towards justice. Then there's Joseph. Joseph comes to a painful crossroads in the personal realm. Discovering Mary's pregnancy, he intends to act with compassion, divorcing her quietly. But God asks him to do more, to trust in God's purpose. Unlike Ahaz, he relinquishes control. Joseph set aside pride and self-interest for the sake of Mary, for the sake of the child, for the sake of the greater good. He collaborates with God's plan, and the world is changed for good. Our final archetype is Paul. We often remember him as bold and fearless, but he lived under the shadow of empire. He proclaims the good news of Christ in Rome, the very capital of empire that ruled with an iron fist and crucified Jesus. Paul knows the cost of his witness: imprisonment, suffering, even death. Yet Paul chooses to trust in God. He entrusts his life to a story larger than his own, planting seeds of change that he will never see come to fruition. Like Mary, he believes empire will not have the final word. Like Joseph, he subordinates personal well-being to the purpose of the gospel. Paul's love for Christ and his commitment to communities rooted in trust rather than fear has enduring impact long after empires fall. So how do we ready ourselves for the birth of Christ when we are weary of waiting for things to change? We remember that God works through time, through people who trust God, and even through people who failed to trust God, through children who grow up and choose differently than their parents, through seeds planted that bear fruit long after we are gone. This is the hope of Advent. We may be weary, we may be suffering, but these are the labor pains of Emmanuel, God with us, coming to life in the world. Amen.